Yo, Chundria, Chundria, it's Chundria Show.
On this segment of the Chundria Show, my special guest expert is Dr. Ryeal Sims, who's a licensed and certified relationship coach. He talks in depth on the science to finding Mr. or Mrs. Right and gives excellent tips for singles from a scientific perspective.
Okay. And how does something like this come to be? You just set out to help people, to educate people, to how you set
well,
out
it
to
all started off in Chicago as
my hometown.
as a vocalist.
Uh-huh.
I was singing in a group, and we had to write songs and dance songs, but I was always writing love songs. And people were like, "Oh man, why are you always writing this love stuff?" You know. And then later on, I got into the film industry, and I was always interested in the love theme type films. And people were telling me, "Wow, you're pretty good. You know, you should really talk more about relationships." So I decided to go back to school.
Wow.
And became a facilitator. Then I became a relationship coach, certified. And that wasn't enough because I wanted to know a little bit more about why we do what we do from an eco-bio-psychosocial and spiritual point of view. So I went back to school again for psychology, and then that wasn't enough. Went back, and then went back again. And so here I am. I wanted to know. I specialize in neuropsychology.
Okay.
So I talk about why we do what we do and what's going on in the brain and biology too as well. So I think it's very imperative to understand those things, because it bring it full circle about relationships, you know. And I talk about relationships in general too, but I think it's very important to understand why we do what we do.
And I agree. I feel like there are so many relationship experts out there, but what I love about what you do is that you do break down the science of it. You do break, I mean, you and I had a conversation about the science of even kissing and how much is involved in that. So I knew that this was a different spin of knowledge for people in general. So as you know, I brought in quite a few singles to just ask some questions about their love languages and their types, and because so many people want to find Mr. and Mrs. Right, and we, you know, what is the science of finding that person, you know, on a physiological level, a mental level, you know, in so many different areas. How, you know, what is that? So my first question for you is, what's the easiest way for singles to get out of their own way? Because I feel like sometimes we overthink things. Sometimes we're set in a way that but what is the easiest way?
Yeah, I think one thing is very important in general. I think it's very important for people first to take out time to know self, and also to make sure that you're detoxed from your last relationship, and that's very, very important. Once you're detoxed from the other person, then take that opportunity to get to know self, right? And knowing self is understanding your non-negotiable requirements, your needs, and then your wants. Because for a while we've been taught our wants. And, you know, I want a man or I want a woman that's so beautiful, have a nice body, or a man that's making six figures, got a car, house, and all that. But actually, those are material things.
Right.
And those are also... you know, we look at the woman, and that's a good thing too, though, if she's beautiful.
To be physically attracted to her.
Physically attractive. But the thing is that we have to really understand what it is that we're really looking for. And that's when you take out that time to actually know what your non-negotiable requirements are and what your needs are. And just for a quick example, you know, I usually use, if you're making a meatloaf, and whatever the meat is, if you take away the meat, can you still make the meatloaf? No, but most people try to. Most people still try to make a meatloaf without that meat.
Right.
So let's put the meat back. And so we put the meat and we put all of my ingredients together and everything, and we got all that together. And now I need heat, right? You know, so I get the heat, put it in the oven, and it's done. Now it's dealing with your wants, because you can put whatever you want on top of the meatloaf.
Right.
You can put turkey gravy, mustard, barbecue sauce on, and those are your wants. But your non-negotiable is that meat.
Right.
You know, can you take that meat away? You know, you're not. So understand what your non-negotiables are. But in order to understand what your non-negotiables are, you got to understand who? Self. So you take out that time. That's the beauty of being single, is taking out that time and getting to know somebody else, getting to know yourself,
Right.
which is that somebody else that you didn't really realize. Because a lot of people are like, what is knowing yourself, right?
Mhm.
Or people saying, I love myself. So I usually ask them, what does that mean? You know, how do you measure that? How do I know that you love yourself?
Right.
You know, so you have to get to that point of loving self. Yeah, and that's very important.
Very important, because you're
Yeah.
right, it starts with you. Before you can pursue anything with anyone else,
Yeah.
you have to take care of home.
Take care of home, and you know, knowing self is also you're more mindful of what's going on when you're trying to meet somebody. You're more mindful of what's happening with your body. Now, scientifically, there's a thing when we meet each other. It's actually you're actually smelling each other,
Mhm.
actually, and it's our DNA, our immune system, right?
Right.
And it's something that are so-called the major histocompatibility complex, and that is the opposite match. Like a lot of people say, well, you know, it's really a debate whether I'm trying to think of one of the sayings when people say, oh well, no, opposite doesn't match or opposite attracts, and
Mhm.
but actually, it's the opposite match. It's a match. It
Right.
is a match when it's opposite. We're not, our DNA is not really looking for the same type of DNA. It's looking for the opposite DNA. Just, you know, and for that reason too, is when you have a child, it's less defect in the kid, right? So you have to watch out for that, you know. And sometimes we're just interested in the symmetry of the person,
Mhm.
but we have to really pay attention to our spirit, and that's part of the construct. That's part of the component of a spirit, is paying attention to our major histocompatibility complex, how that person is making me feel
Mhm.
when I'm right there next to that person, right? And that's so important. But
Those
the
are
only way
things
that
to
you can
pay
know
attention
that,
for.
those are the things you. But in order to pay attention to that,
Mhm.
you got to know self. You got to go out there and you got to feel. You have to feel, not just because, oh my God, he's so handsome. Oh my God, she's so fine.
Mhm.
You know, you have to. It's more than that.
More
It's
than the
that.
physical, it's your how you feel, what you think about it, etc. No, that makes perfect
Mhm.
sense. Makes
Yeah,
a lot of sense.
absolutely.
So then the next I'll say is a lot of us have a certain type of like, and this goes right into what you're saying about
Mhm.
being instantly attracted to someone physically, you know, but a lot of us have a certain type that we prefer in our ideal mate. So how does that idea prevent people from moving toward their ideal mate when you're locked to the physical, or you're locked by education? Like, I want somebody that's got this degree, I want somebody that's
Yeah.
family oriented. Like, you're picking these single a la carte characteristics of
Yeah.
individuals when I imagine that really hasn't gotten people very far.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it could limit you. You know, there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with having that list of knowing what you don't want.
Mhm.
Right? It's a good thing to figure out. Well, you know, I want this type of guy or I want this type of woman, but you still have to be careful with that too as well. You know, because it can limit you. You know, somebody may not have all of those on that list that you have. You know, they might have the potential. And I think that that's what's really good. Yeah, you're so
Okay.
right.
Now, from a scientific perspective, how do we find our happily ever after?
Well, it's part of what I said earlier. You know, just paying more attention to self,
Mhm.
understanding self, and understanding what's happening with how someone is making you feel.
So once you've found yourself, you've repaired that, you've built, you've identified, what you need to identify yourself, then the next step for you is, in finding your happily ever after, is to, do you align with someone who is like-minded?
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right. Someone now, you know, yes, of course, we talk about social compatibility,
Mhm.
right? If somebody, I'm a lawyer, you're looking for a lawyer, you know, and that's fine, you know. But again, it goes back to if they have some of the non-negotiable requirements that you need, your wants and everything. If they, you know, what I tell women too, that you're the employer. Us men, we're interested in trying to get the job.
Mhm.
So it's so important.
Wow, I've never heard that. I like
Yeah,
that.
so it's so important for you to, that's why it's so important as a woman, you know, to understand that you're the employer, so you have to understand who you're hiring, right? So in order to understand who you're hiring, you have to know your business. You have to know the kind of company that you just started, right?
Right.
So in order to know that, so that way you can ask the questions that is needed to ask, right?
Right.
So I think that that's so important as well. And so once you get all of that together, you pretty much, you know, you're ready to go out there.
You're
ready
in the
to,
right direction now. Now
in
you
the
can
right
actually
direction.
propel as opposed
Because
to.
you know what to ask.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people don't know what to ask, really, because they don't know self. They don't know their business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they don't really. They're asking general questions that somebody else would ask, right? But they're asking general questions with, you know, your girlfriend would ask or your guy friend would ask. But what would you ask? And the reason why you're doing that is because you don't know self.
You don't know exactly what you want.
What you
so
want.
You're keeping the conversation general.
That's
instead
right,
of
you're keeping it
pinpointing.
very
And
general.
you would save a lot of time wasted if you did that. So that makes perfect sense.
And you know, the more you know yourself, your body will definitely help. When I from the science point of view, because it'll sense what you're looking for. It could sense what you're looking for. And remember when I mentioned, the minute you go close to a person, that major histocompatibility complex, because that's what we do. We sense a person first. We smell the person, and our DNA is saying, hey, is that the same DNA or is that an opposite match? Because that's the key, the opposite match. That's the key.
Opposite
We're
match.
not opposite match.
And
We're not
we think
looking
opposites
for.
attract in a negative sense, but it's actually right.
Yeah, you have some people arguing about it, you know, saying, oh, well, no, it's not opposite, you know, it's the same. And, but what they're talking about is social compatibility. I'm a lawyer, you're a lawyer, you know, but when we're talking about biology, the body is always looking for the opposite. It's not looking for the same, for birth defects. Because if it says, the body says, if we have a child, we want to make sure that this child is a perfect child. And the same DNA, you're not going to get that. You know, so the body itself is working on its own.
Right.
You know, and it's like, no, this is not my match.
So my last question is, what defines true love, and why does it feel so unattainable at times? And I speak to the person that doesn't know how to find themselves, that struggles with sitting down and getting to the core of what makes them tick, what makes them happy, what are they really looking for, what do they really need. Like you said, you have that meatloaf, we need the meat, the wants, the desires. I feel like sometimes we get so caught up in the toppings that we're not getting to the meat. So any solution for someone who even struggles with that first step?
Yeah. One thing we do have to understand is when it comes to in love, in love actually takes no effort. In love is really easy to happen. In love is something that we can do just in love at first sight. You know, in love is not something that's hard. True love is actually something that we have to put effort into.
And a lot of it.
And a lot of effort, because we don't have to put effort in falling in love.
But then
There's no
you
effort.
talked about the oxytocin,
Oh yeah, oxytocin,
That-
phenethylamine, serotonin.
all those different hormones.
All those different,
And it'll give you the feeling that you are in love or that you are happy.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and that's why we have to be careful too, being intimate really fast, because when we're intimate really fast and we release the oxytocin, because the oxytocin is the bonding chemical. It actually bonds us together. So if a female is actually having a baby, or when she's having a child, she's also releasing oxytocin. That's what bonds the mother and child together, as well as breastfeeding too. So the bonding chemical, when we bond with the oxytocin, you think actually that you're in love, you know, but you're actually thinking about this person because, hey, this person actually released my oxytocin.
And it really has nothing to do with
and
that
it has
person.
nothing to do with that person. It has nothing to do with the relationship. You don't even care about wanting to know more about that person. You know, all you know is he made you feel good, or she made you feel good, right? Because as guys, we have a little oxytocin too as well, right? And that oxytocin will fool you and make you believe, you know, that you're actually in love.
Okay, well, I got some great takeaways today, and the main thing I can hear for people out there is to be true to yourself.
Be true to yourself.
Find what you want. The key to finding Mr. or Mrs. Right is to start with you first.
That's right.
Find you first.
Find yourself. It's the same. Am I saying? Respecting yourself is knowing yourself in order to love yourself.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for coming today and talking to me. I feel like you've been so great, giving such rich information. So, love to have you back sometime soon.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi.
You made it.
I did.
Thank you so much for being here. So let me get personal. What's your relationship status this time in your life?
So I am single by choice. I was dating, but I was one of those reckless daters. Not really with the purpose of marriage, but just, we have chemistry. Let's see where it goes. And so I kind of stopped that and really started to dive deep into who I was and what areas that I needed to become better in, because you meet someone where you are. So if I'm someone who's broken, I'm going to meet someone who's broken. And so I wanted to get to the point where I was complete so I can meet my other complete half. So that's where I am right now. I'm single, but being fabulous, darling, and single.
At the same time.
At the same time.
So out of 5 love languages, words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, physical touch, which one would you say you would pick?
And I love that you put that question, because I am gifts of affirmation and also physical touch, but really gifts of affirmation. Words of encouragement and service, that's good, but I love gifts. Who doesn't love gifts?
Who doesn't love gifts? You
can
love receiving gifts as much as you love
I love giving gifts just as much as I love receiving them. Like, there's an art to me of gift giving, and finding that perfect gift for someone and seeing them just light up when they open it. Oh my gosh, it does like wonders for my soul.
That's such a
making
sweet thing.
Someone else happy and so for me, if someone has taken that time to find something that would be perfect for me, it just really touches my heart when they do that.
That's really sweet. That's really sweet. So what are your feelings on love in general versus love in your own personal love life? I know you're kind of on a break. So how do you feel about love in general?
Well, obviously, I love it, right? I'm someone who believes in love. I believe that there is that soulmate out there for you, that love does exist. And that we are carriers of love, and that our purpose is to go out and share that love. And so that's my thought on it. Let's share it. Let's build on it. Let's build communities with it. Let's just have a TV show. I love your show, by the way. And just keep spreading that love into the masses. If God gave you a gift, let's use it.
Okay. That's deep. I like it. So what's your type, and has that changed in recent years?
It has changed. I am 5'1", 5'2", 5'3", if I'm feeling enlightened.
All of that,
depending on what day it is, right? And so my ideal of the perfect man was over 6 feet, basketball, football, athletic build, make 6 figures. It was all this superficial kind of, and now it's more so, does he have a good heart, right? How does he treat me? How does he treat other people? Really, how does he treat his mama? Because that is too. How he treats family members. So my ideal of the perfect guy, it's not in the same package anymore that it used to be. It was very superficial in the beginning. And so now it's more of like what's on the inside versus what's on the outside. Do I believe that I could marry someone who was not attractive? I don't think so. I think it's a personal thing where you have to be attracted to the person, right?
Right, you do.
So he's still, Lord, let him be fine. but
have a good heart.
But have a good heart at the same time.
Amen.
Right? Amen. Amen. For me, Jesus. For me. And so, so it's changed. It's changed over the years, and just of what I find to be important now.
Okay, I understand that. I definitely do. What's your dating style? Do you prefer to meet someone the old-fashioned way, or are you into online dating?
I did online date for a little bit. I was on Plenty of Fish, Tinder, Soul Swipe, Soulmate. So, OK Cupid, Coffee and a Bagel. I live downtown, and any app that you could think of, it was somebody within 5 feet that wanted to meet up with you. And so I did do online dating. I met quite the crazy characters. And then I decided, you know what, maybe that's not for me, Jesus. Maybe I shouldn't do that. But I did online date for quite some time. And I'll share a story a little bit later of one of the craziest times.
Uh-oh. So you did try it.
I did try it.
And now you're saying that you prefer the old-fashioned way of just meeting somebody organically?
I do. And how is that going to happen when you work a lot, right? When you're a professional, you work all the time. It's work events. I'm not dating anyone that I work with or associated with. So it can be difficult. So I'm open to what happens in grocery stores now.
Grocery stores clean as well.
Right.
You go to Target.
Come on,
you gotta
Target.
get your dish
It
detergent.
might be at the dry cleaner. I don't know.
Dry cleaners. You go to the car wash. All those different places.
Right, maybe the car wash.
Maybe while you're drying off, you're like, hey.
Free air freshener, thank you.
I'm wearing jogging pants. No. So my next question then, you were going to lead up into what happened on the craziest that you've been on.
Okay, so the craziest online soul swipe app, whatever date was, I met this guy. He was a musician. I sing, and so we had some commonalities there. And he came over. He seemed normal. Seemed, operative word. And then we were hanging out a little bit more. Some other friends came over. It seemed like it was going well. We went up to the roof. At that time, I had a rooftop pool, and he's just like, yeah, you really need to date me because I could take you to the next level. I've dated you for 15 years. And I said, what?
What?
Wait a minute. I just met you.
What does that even mean?
You dated me for... Yes, you're an
his
Aquarius. Yes, he was so into astrology.
Oh. And all signs
are
the same people,
Are the same. You are the same Sagittarius as every other Sagittarius in this world. I want you to know that. And so he went on to tell me how he has dated Aquarius for 15 years and that I needed him. It was the craziest conversation I ever had. He ended up going home with one of the people at the party.
Who was an Aquarius.
Girl, and he changed her life. So that was one of the kind of like the craziest moments of someone telling you, like, they dated you for 15 years.
I'm dating you and you need me.
And you need me, but I just met you.
I don't know you, sir.
I don't.
Please excuse yourself.
Right.
Go change her life.
Right. And he
That
did.
is crazy.
He did.
So how do your family or friends feel about your dating choices? You laughed first. Oh.
Because something I was going to say, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to put my mom out like that. Okay, so my mom does not approve much of some of my dating choices, but I feel like they're my dating choices. And so she shouldn't have any say-so on who I'm dating. But, yeah, she hasn't really approved any of them.
Oh.
No.
In
not
15 years of dating, there's nobody
She's made 2 cry. And this is real life.
Wow, Mom.
This is real life. She has made 2 cry. And it's just been...
Wow.
Yeah.
Protective of a baby girl. My goodness.
Very protective. Very, very protective.
So if they could pick someone for you, what would that person be?
They would have a lot of money. My mother says that I need to date a man that has like an ample supply, like an abundance of money.
Oh.
And so
60K isn't getting it for her.
60K is not getting it.
Okay.
Like, you need to do way more than that. And I don't even know what he would look like. I really don't know. I just know he might... he probably would be tall. I think he would look like what I thought I wanted in the beginning.
And early on.
And early
you were
on.
like searching for those attributes.
Right.
Because the guy that's tall, handsome,
right.
et cetera,
That's the
generally
whole storybook, right? The fairy tale.
Yeah.
You want to live happily ever after like Cinderella. But no, I want to do my purpose. and really make an impact in this world. And I want my partner to complement that and work with me. So
Absolutely. What are your turnoffs when you meet someone new?
So I used to do this when I would meet people. This is my easiest way of like eliminating people right off the bat. So they would say, yes, oh, you're so hot, you're so sexy, ooh, ooh, ooh. I want to take you out. Where do you want to go? Church. Meet me Sunday at 9 a.m. And
that weeds them out real fast.
I mean, it's so quick. So you don't want to go to the club? I don't want to go to the club. You don't want to go to dinner?
No. Meet me at church.
Meet me at church at 9 a.m. And I did that because if you didn't have that type of relationship with God, then we were already cut anyway. And not to knock someone if you don't go to church. But that was kind of
But that's what you need. That's what you want.
That's what I need.
Yeah, that's a personal preference.
And so that just eliminated people, and that was just the turn off right there. If you can't sit with me and praise God for an hour and a half, then
we could go to breakfast.
Right? Then we could go to breakfast. Then we could go to the beach.
Right.
We could do everything else.
Like a whole Sunday.
But
out
at
of it,
9 a.m.
Can you get up at 9 a.m. and you got to be on time before the choir sings the first song?
Thank you.
Okay.
You know how it goes.
So we talked about, obviously, that would be a deal breaker for you.
That is.
If you're like, I don't do church, I don't do any of that.
And if you're from Hampton University. HU, you know, I had to throw that in there really quick.
That's a deal breaker. What school you go to? No.
And some guy did do that to me online. Here's another story. Online, some guy, we were having a good conversation, and he said, what college did you go to? And I said, Howard. And he said, I went to Hampton. We should just end this now.
Wow.
He was so serious. And he did. He ended it right there.
Wow. My goodness. Well, I know we talked about ideally you do want to be married. You're in this realm where you're just kind of choosing to be single, choosing to figure out let things go the way they're supposed to go. But where do you need to have your happily ever after right now?
You mean for a guy to come into my life? Like,
how do you get your happily ever after?
I don't know. That is such a good question of how do I get my happily ever after. I don't know. Someone who just the affirmation of gifts. Someone who just showers me in gifts would be like the best thing.
Let's get married today.
Let's get married. Like seriously, if someone just walked in with like a wagon of gifts, I'd be like, "Are you single?" No, I don't know what's really gonna turn it. But I do know that I'll pray about it, and I'm not jumping into anything. If God's not in the middle, I don't want it. And I know that for sure. So if it's affirmed and confirmed and the heavens open and the doves fall, then I'm going for it.
All right.
Thanks for watching. Visit us online at chundriashow.com.
She look Chundria, I know Chundria.